and that is not permissible. This is a wrong translation, this is not right, and this is not wrong. It's a big argument I will discuss afterwards. But what are when Allah says the man or the we are talking about believing men, all believing women. This is all for believing men and believing women. When men fear of an emotional shock or jarring fear. Some women say, if the woman commits adultery or fornication, then he can beat me. No, 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 no. The man fears. If the man fears, not doubt. Remember that doubt is different. If the man fears of emotional shock, then sermon them. Allah says, sermon your wife. Abandon them in their beds and beat them, strike them. This is 3 behavior that a husband should do to the wife. The first is sermon them. When are you sermoning? When you fear. Not doubt, not suspicion. You fear of emotional shock she will provide you. And the emotional shock or the jarring she can provide you to have an extramarital affair and tell you that I had an extramarital affair with somebody else. That's the biggest emotional shock for any man. Not that she said some bad words to you. Emotional shock. Then you have to do is what? If you fear. Allah says, look in the Arabic, Wallati takhafuna. Takhafu means when you fear. If the man fears of emotional shock from the wife, then he has to, what he has to do? Sermon her. Sermon what? Give sermons. Educate her about the ayahs, about the essence, education, ayahs and character building. If she doesn't listen to you, then abandon her in the bed. Because you don't understand, this is it is yours, because she is adornment for you, you like to go to her. Allah knows her. So she thinks that she's doing it for you, everything. So abandon her from the bed. That's education for men. That once you abandon her, don't get irritated. That's the education. First is sermon, abandon her. Even if she doesn't listen to you, then beat her. And now the word is strike. So the Quran has used the word daraba in many places of the ayahs of the Quran, which has got many shades of meanings. I agree to this. Daraba means to strike. But it also means some other words. There are in the dictionary, there are many words to it. So what I am saying, I will give you 2-3 ayahs, references you can write down. I am just giving you the references. Surah Muhammad 47, Surah Ayah 4 to 8. I will just read you these references, write down this. Then there is Surah Muhammad 47, 25 ayat. And there is another Surah An-nafal 8, 12 ayat. And there is Surah Nisa 4, 59 ayat. And no, these three references. Okay. Now in this one ayat is فَإِذَا لَقِيتُمُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَضَرْبَ الرِّقَابِ. The ayat says, when you meet those who reject, you strike the people on the neck, riqab. You understand? So the striking here how would you strike? Dhara means strike in the neck. So you strike on the neck. Okay. One strike, one ayat. To the rejectors, Allah says, to the believer, you strike on the necks. Then he says, فَكَيْفَ إِذَا تَوَفَّتْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ يَضْرِبُونَ وُجُوهَهُمْ وَأَدْبَارُهُمْ. And look at how the angels, when the man dies or near he dies, the angels strikes to the rejectors on their faces and on their backs. Strike on their faces and on their backs. What do you understand? Daraba here, it is giving you the shade of striking. Then in ayah Surah An-nafal I read, إِذْ يُوحِي رَبُّكَ إِلَى الْمَلَائِكَةِ أَنِّي مَعَكُمْ فَثَبِّتُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا سَأُلْقِي فِي قُلُوبِ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا الرُّعْبَ فَاضْرِبُوا فَوْقَ الْأَعْنَاقِ وَاضْرِبُوا مِنْهُمْ كُلَّ بَنَانٍ. The portion I am reading with this is, when the inspiration, your Lord gave inspiration to the malaikas that I am with you, you firmly establish those who believe, and then I will in those who do not believe, I will put fear in their hearts, those who reject, and then strike, fadribu. then strike on their necks, above their necks. And fadribu means strike, fawqa anaq, fawqa al-anaq means on the necks, wadribu and strike minhum kull al-banan, on the fingertips. So what I am saying is that in the ayat the word daraba means strike. Now how to strike the wife, to what extent, and where to and how? So I will explain to you the meaning of strike in the dictionary. If you look in the dictionary, in the meaning of the strike, there are examples written. I'm just reading those. To make an impression on the mind, senses of a woman, to overwhelm emotional as with the terror and fear, to affect deeply, to enter the minds of the wives. How and when? How and when? Where you will strike? You are looking at me as if we don't strike our wives. We don't want to strike. Who's asking you to strike your wives? But the condition is laid down in the Quran when you fear, not otherwise. Remember that? Emotional shock. Because you see, I've noticed I'm giving you an example. Sometimes woman goes into emotionally so much worked up, you just give a little slap, she'll come up into senses. Not that you take up a hunter and start beating and hitting with boxing, and no, just little shock. Do you understand what I'm saying? It is just that she should come out that feeling engulfment she's gone into in a discussion when she's moved up so much. It's not a beating, badly beating or hurting or bruises are there on her face. No, a slight a hit which removes her in that shock statement that she's gone into emotionally. She worked up sometime, that because her mind is made in a manner. She's got a big brain, first of all, you must know. They are using their emotions and intelligence equally all the time. Emotion and intelligence are both used by women, mostly. Men, you use more intelligence than feelings. Their feelings is down. But they are using emotions, intelligence and feelings are mostly used by women, mostly. So it is very easy their emotions overtake the intelligence, women. So that is why sometimes they require, and the time I've read, when you fear that she will give you an emotional shock, then only you are allowed. So what you have to sermon them, detach them from the beds. It's a process. And the last portion of the ayah, فَإِنْ أَطَعْنَكُمْ, and if they obey you. So if they obey you, then do not seek over them away. And here I want to make another point. You must understand the woman has to obey their husbands. There is no such thing as equality between men and women. This is a wrong concept produced in the world. They have to obey. Look, Allah says in the Quran, you have to obey Allah. Am I equal to God? No. Then Allah says, obey the messenger. Am I equal to a messenger? No. Then Allah says, obey your father, parents. Am I equal to parents? Similarly, the wife has to obey the husband. Here they say, look, فَإِنْ أَطَعْنَكُمْ, and if they obey you, فَلَا تَبْغُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ السَّبِيلَ. So if they obey you, then do not look away, and you don't make a habit of beating or whatsoever. So you must understand, Allah has given a degree over women, 1 degree over the woman. It is not that they are, equality, you must understand, they are different. So to run a house, they have to obey the husband. That is what Allah is teaching you. To obey does not mean insult or disgrace on women. It's not a disgrace. They are designed in a manner, they want to please you. You must admire them, so they obey you. That is the house goes on. So it's not the question that they are equal, men and women are equal. They are different. Men are different than women, their duties, and we are discussing. Women are different, we are discussing. That's what Allah is telling us. So it is not that we are equal in all aspects. No, we are different. Now in Surah Hujurat, now ayat that I am reading now, refer to page number 13 and 14, is a general ayat for the believing men and women. But why I have put this ayat in relation to the husband and wife relationship, because it is very important. This kind of aspect is very important among the husband-wife relationship. You will listen to this. Al-hujurat 49 and ayah 12. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ijtanibu kathiran min az-zanni inna ba'da adh-dhanni ithmun ithm wa la tajassusu وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا أَيُحِبُّ أَحَدُكُمْ أَنْ يَأْكُلَ لَحْمَ أَخِيهِ مَيْتًا فَكَرِهْتُمُوهُ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ تَوَّابٌ رَحِيمٌ. O you who believe, avoid much suspicion. Surely some suspicion is a sin, and you do not spy and do not backbite one another. Would any one of you would like to eat the flesh of his dead brother? So you would dislike it, and take guard of Allah. Surely Allah is returning merciful. In generally, it is referring to general believers, men and women should not abide these rules. But between men and women, husband and wife, Allah says, I'm telling you in general, oh you believe, avoid much suspicion. What is a suspicion? You know, suspicion is described a feeling of suspecting of the truth. Something is truth. Something is truth and you suspect that truth is suspicion. The word English suspicion. If you suspect the truth is suspicion. You know, in men and women, generally husband-wife, why I'm telling you in husband-wife relationship, it happens. Somebody tells you that your husband is, I've seen his husband, you know, somewhere like this. Immediately you suspect. You will not ask the husband. You will start, or then you find somebody to spy on him. You'll send some girl or some boy. This is suspicion. So let's say avoid suspicion. Because in some cases, this suspicion is a sin. It is a sin. Because you conject in your mind about the truth. It is not evident. It is not truthful. So in some cases, suspicion. In some cases, suspicion. And you do not spy. Then you appoint an agent to find out what's going on. Not for the only you, brother. It is vice versa also. We also suspecting on the wives. Generally, I'm talking about. Look, it is both ways. It is education to both sexes. Men also suspect the wives. They are hiring the agents. The women are hiring the agents to find out why my wife is going, what is happening in the house. Some men are very suspecting. And she says or he says like this, no, this is like this. No, he is not understanding the truth. What is conjecturing in his mind? He believes that. You are speaking the truth. This is the truth. This is what happened. This is where I did go. And this is the reality. Suspicion is suspecting the truth. That is suspicion. So he or she is not suspecting. So then you do not spy and do not backbite each other. First of all, you hired an agent and to find out what's going around. And then you are also backbiting about your husband or wife. In both cases it's wrong. So Allah is stopping you. Oh, you believe. It is for the believing husband and wife, and generally also avoid suspicion. Surely some suspicion is a sin, and you do not spy and do not backbite one another. Would any one of you like to eat the flesh of his dead brother? Then you would dislike it and take guard of Allah. Surely Allah is returning most merciful. And I would like to tell you here backbiting. You see, backbiting, you see, if I speak something, I speak about something about my friend. It's not backbiting. You see, behind back, I can talk. Who says that I'm speaking in the absence of that boy is backbiting? Backbiting, you must understand what is backbiting means. You putting a false charge about the one whom you're talking about. It's false, it's not truth. You see, to speak malicious, bad, who is not present, or a false or report or attack on the character is a backbiting. You see, some people say, you are talking behind that back, Mr. Sheikh. I said, I'm talking about him. It doesn't mean I'm backbiting. So you must understand the backbiting is putting a false charge on someone. If I put a false charge on my wife, or the wife puts a false charge on me, or in general if I put a false charge on somebody, that is backbiting. But if suppose a man is bad, and I know this man is bad, listen to me very carefully. A man is a bad man I know his character for sure. And somebody comes and asks me, do you know this man? And I said, yes, I know this man. And he's asking me that I want to marry my sister or daughter to this person. Do you know his character? What type of man is? So if I say, no, he's a good character, what I'm doing? If I speak the truth, it's not backbiting. Because that is truth. Behind his back, if I speak the truth of some wrong person's personality, it's not backbiting. Backbiting is talking bad, it's not truth. That's what is backbiting. Something which the man is wrong, he's of a wrong character, I know, and if I speak that is not backbiting. Backbiting is that he is not wrong, he is right man, but if I speak wrong about him is backbiting. That is bad. To put a false charge on someone which is not true is backbiting. Al-hujurat 49 surah and 6 ayat. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu in ja'akum fasiqun binaba'in fatabayyanu in an tusibu qawman bijahalatin fatusbihu ala ma fa'altum nadimin. O you who believe, if an immoral person or a liberal who takes liberty, you know, fasiq is a liberty, who takes liberty, person comes to you with a news or a prophecy, so seek clarification that you may reach people the prophecy and with ignorance, then you begin the day of regretting, regretting over what you have done. Now, you must understand, in this ayah, the word is fasiq. The fasiq means a person who is a liberal minded, who takes a liberty. Liberty of what? Of not following the commandments of Allah is a fasiq. It's not only immoral, he takes the liberty on many things. So now Allah says, oh you believe, if a fasiq or a person who takes liberty on the commandments of Allah comes to you with any news or a prophecy, so seek clarification that you may reach that news or prophecy with ignorance, that you begin the day regretting of what you have done. Now this you must, I must explain to you, this verse has got one meaning, but at the same time it can be understood in two aspects. One aspect is that a person like me or anybody who educates about Quran. So Allah is saying, oh you believe, the believers sitting in front trying to believe and they are believers. When any immoral person or a person who takes the liberty over the orders of Allah, there are certain do's and the don'ts in the eyes of Allah, and if I do not practice those do's and don'ts, so I am a fasiq giving you prophecies, telling you about the Quranic ayahs. If I do not practice the ayahs of Allah, and if I tell you about the ayahs, about the prophecy, that is the Quran says, in ja'akum fasiqun bin nabin. If anyone who is a fasiq, who takes the liberty over the commandments of Allah, gives you news, give you prophecies, meaning about the ayat, prophecies, this all is nabuwwat, the prophecies, or Quranic ayats are all prophecies. Fatabayyunu, seek clarification from him. That otherwise you will forward that understanding to others and in ignorance, and then you will regret what you have done. This is one understanding of this aspect of this ayah. Any understanding that is based on ayahs, you know the commandments, you know the rule, but if he's a fasiq and he's telling you all this, so if the news go wrong, you did not verify, you didn't clarify. Similarly, if somebody comes with the news to you about your wife, about your husband, similarly I'm using a similar, and if somebody comes with any news, you seek clarification. Seek clarification. Otherwise you may forward that information and then hurt her or him. You understand what I'm saying? You must seek clarification before you put it forward. Clarification from that person, or with the wife you're living with, or with the husband you're living with. We don't seek clarification, we start doubting. So that's what I'm saying, that it is, this ayat is educating in two aspects. A person who is an immoral person, a person who is coming with that news, you must seek clarification from him. Do not put it forward ahead, otherwise you'll regret what I've done. I should have not told, or I should not explain to explain this. You will be in problem. So, but what happens generally, people start doubting, and how Allah says in Surah An-noor 24 and ayah 4, وَالَّذِينَ يَرْمُونَ الْمُحْصَنَاتِ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَأْتُوا بِأَرْبَعَةِ شُهَدَاء فَاجْلِدُوهُمْ ثمانين جلدة ولا تقبلوا لهم شهادة أبدا وأولئك هم الفاسقون. And those who put up charge on guarded women or on wives, they do not come with 4 witnesses, so flog them with 80 stripes, and do not ever accept their witnesses, witness, and they are those who are fasik or immoral, or this who take liberties. Now, imagine this. Any person coming with this news about your wife, Allah says those who put a charge. Look, you must understand the Arabic word is yarmuna. Yarmu is putting a charge or throwing on your wife. Now, you ask 4 witnesses. Come, bring 4 witnesses. You're putting a charge on my wife, give me 4 witnesses. And if he doesn't bring 4 witnesses, not that these 4 witnesses have seen my wife or a wife's relation. No. Witness means not physical. Ayn is eyes. Eyewitness in English also mentioned. Aini shahada in Arabic means an eyewitness. In Arabic is only witnesses. Ask for 4 witnesses. That you are putting a charge on my wife. If somebody puts a charge on anybody's wife, you ask for 4 witnesses. Meaning they have to produce witnesses with evidence that on my wife, whatever they are putting charge. Though if they cannot produce 4 witnesses, then Allah says 80 stripes on that man. 20 less of an fornicator, 100 stripes. A man who commits adultery or fornicate, Allah says to give him 100 stripes. A man indulging in a fornication or adultery gets 100 stripes. And a person who just put a charge, a false charge on a woman, a believing woman or a married believing woman, he must get 80 stripes. Can you imagine? Only less 20 to committing Allah in the eyes of Allah, in the nearness of Allah. And adultery is almost 20 less stripes to a person who puts a false charge on the woman, on a believing woman. Can you imagine this? 80 stripes. So this, you husband should know that Allah also knows that the woman, if she's not involved with anyone, she's badly hurt by this kind of attitude if you have doubt on her that she's involved in this guy. Because if somebody said, look, this fasik, corrupt man is telling you this. So Allah says, you ask him for 4 witnesses, other give him at least 80 stripes. So that is covering this woman's character. We must understand this. So now some husbands also, An-noor 24, ayah 6 and 7. وَالَّذِينَ يَرْمُونَ أَزْوَاجَهُمْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُمْ شُهَدَاءُ إِلَّا أَنفُسُهُمْ فشهادة أحدهم أربع شهادة بالله إنه لمن الصادقين والخامسة أن لعنة الله عليه إن كان من الكاذبين. And those who put a charge on their wives, on their pets, and do not have witnesses for them except themselves, so the evidence of them alone is bearing of witness 4 times with Allah, surely that he is from the truthful ones. And the bearing of witness 5th time, that there will be a curse of Allah over him if he is from those who lie. Now, if the husband had, he is putting a charge. Who? The husband himself. First there was somebody else putting a charge on his wife. Now he himself is putting a charge on his wife. If he's putting a charge on his wife, then Allah says, and he does not have 4 witnesses with him. So what he has to do? He has to say that I bear witness 4 times. Suppose if I say in front of my wife, I bear witness that my wife, me and my wife is sitting, not the whole world. Me and my wife, I bear witness that you are involved in this so and so. I witness by Allah. I witness by Allah. I witness by Allah 4 times. I witness by Allah that you have done so and so. Without proof, I am just putting a charge. So, and the 5th time I say that there will be a curse of Allah over me if I am lying. The 5th time I have to say this. You understand what I am saying? 4 times this and the 5th time this. If I am putting a charge. Now, the wife is then put, what the wife has to do, further page 17, 18. An-noor 24, 8 and 9. وَيَدْرَأُ عَنْهَا الْعَذَابِ أَن تَشْهَدَ أَرْبَعَةَ شَهَادَةٍ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّهُ لَمِنَ الْكَاذِبِينَ وَالْخَامِسَةَ أَنَّ غَضَبَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهَا إِنْ كَانَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. And he will avert the punishment from her if she witnesses 4 times by bearing witness with Allah that surely he is from those who lie. And the bearing of witness 5th time, that there will be anger of Allah over her if her husband is from the truthful ones. Now she, the wife, can avert the punishment from Allah by bearing 4 times that my husband is lying. And the 5th time, the anger is on me, of Allah on me if my husband is speaking the truth. So the punishment of Allah will be averted. Here you must, ladies and gentlemen, hear very carefully. In one man's witness against one woman is equal. But not equal, but the woman is over the man. You follow what I'm saying? If the man witness is only one man witnessing on my wife, she's one, I'm one. I'm witnessing that my wife has committed, or I'm putting 4 times that my wife had done this and my wife done this, and I'm putting a charge on her. And the 5th is curse of Allah on me. She can also say, okay, if you say though, I can also say, I bear witness, it is not true, it's not true, it's not true, and the anger is upon me if you are speaking the truth. So Allah will avert the punishment. So in a husband-wife relationship, 1:1 relationship, I've been counseling, and many times, believe me, at times has occurred, I'm not lying to you, that the man was not able to say it, and the wife said it. And many, some cases like child also, people are doubting. This is not my child. There are times she's also, okay, I say man, husband sahab, say. He said, no, I cannot say. The wife said, it's your child. Now there are DNAs nowadays. You can verify. But you know, and even this, believe me, man could not say. So you know, this is a counseling. So Allah is telling us, if there is a problem between husband and wife, the husband is putting a charge and the wife can avert the punishment by saying it. And then the husband should leave it to Allah. That is what Allah said it. So in 1:1 basis of witnesses, we have come to know, Allah says, if the woman says it on the husband, then Allah will avert the punishment. Not that the husband is saying it and he's a man and it is true and she's going to punish. It's not like that. She can say it if she's speaking the truth. She can revert the case. In Surah Al-Baqarah 2 and 282 ayat, where the ayat says that for a witness, 2 men and 1 woman, in the Quran, I will refer to this ayat where it says, in Baqarah 2 and ayat 282. Staple page. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha tadayantum bidainin ila ajalin musamma faktubu wastashhidu shahidaini. I am reading portions. It's not complete ayah, it's a very big ayat. I am just reading portions of that ayah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha tadayantum bidainin ila ajalin musamma faktubu. Further it says downwards, wastashhidu shahidaini min rijalikum fa illam yakuna rajulaini farajulun wa imra'atani mimman tardawna min ash-shuhada an tadilla ihdahuma fatudhakkira ihdahuma al-ukhra. O you believe, whenever you have judged with a judgment of a deal or a contract or a marriage or anything towards a fixed period of time, so write it down and seek 2 witnesses from your men. Then if there are no 2 men, then 1 man and 2 women from whom you are pleased, agreed, from the witnesses. That is, if 1 woman has strayed from the 2 of them, then the other reminds her. Now in Allah is telling that if you go in a written agreement or a document, any deal written down between 2 parties, you have noticed in the world that there are agreements, rent agreement, contracts, there are deals between parties. So Allah says, whenever you go any kind of judgment or a judgment that is for a fixed period of time, you write it down. And when you write it down, to make it authentic, you must have 2 witnesses, 2 male witnesses. Not 1 male witness, 2 male witnesses. No 1 male witness is allowed in a written document. In a written document, 2 male witnesses allowed. It is not 1 male, 2 male witnesses. And if you do not find 2 male witnesses, then 1 male, 2 female witnesses in a written document. When it is a written document for a fixed period of time. When we marry, it's a written document. we have witnesses, two witnesses. When you have this, we have a written document, we have witnesses in the world, in the whole world. So if there are no two men, then you can have two women and a man, one man, in a written document for a fixed period of time. And Allah says, why? Because one, she may astray from it, and then the other may remind her.